Hello, what is poppin' YouTube fam? This is Boy J Money here. I am bringing you guys a first place list for, as you see in the title, Spright Adamancipator or Adamancipator Sprights, Rock Spirits, Rock Sprights, whatever the hell you want to call it. I've played this deck a few times. Once I played it when Elf was still in the game. It was phenomenal then. It's definitely different now, though. There's definitely some changes that you do have to make, but nonetheless, the deck still kind of plays the same. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get through this very, very quickly because we have a lot of explaining to do. So, as you probably guessed it, we are still maxing out on all the tuners. Seeker, Researcher, and Analyzer, right? Seeker and Researcher are much better now, thanks to some of the newer cards that we have available to us in the game. Now, spoiler, first off, this is a 44 card list, so this is a little bulky, kinda, but I don't have issues missing with the rocks either, so that is that's definitely very nice, right? These level 2s are a lot more insulated now that you have sprites in your deck. So that is also nice, but that's not too self-explanatory there. Or it's very self-explanatory, but we still play the one copy of Dragite. That's another target. I'd probably just cut it for Quackimiro Overload. Honestly, having another Quackimiro to search instead of having a useless Guardian in your hand is would be nice. Also, a Warding on Legs is nice. Also, we do not struggle putting water monsters in the graveyard anymore. 3 Doki Dokis. Doki is a lot better now because of sprites. Again, the feeling of actually being able to normal summon Doki and having your place insulated just by dropping a blue and grabbing a red is very, very nice before even committing to the effect. 3 Guardians, still self-explanatory. 3 Suppliers. Supplier now is a lot more important because there are a lot of times where you really struggle to keep a rock monster in your hand when your combo is done. So being able to keep a rock in your hand to keep your Guardians on field rather than just sinking them off or linking them off would be appreciated a lot of the times. So yeah, one of the new techs. This isn't really new. Anyone who plays Spright Adamancipators or knows of the deck and knows about this card, you discard it, and it is a double summon for any water or earth monster. So any of your Adamancipators, your Guardian, your Doki, right? And if it's in the graveyard, if you have both a water and a earth monster on field, you can summon this out of the graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. So that is very, very good. It is a water monster. It is a rock monster you can hit off your Adamancipators, and it is a level 2 to bridge into your sprites. So we play 3 blue. I noticed a lot of lists aren't playing that many blues / starters, which is kind of crazy. Like, I understand that we want a small engine, right? You don't want to have a whole bunch of sprites because that will dilute your Adamancipators, but the problem here is you know, it's like you absolutely must make sure your stuff resolves, right? I'd rather open blue with Doki level 2 any day of the week, right? Even if I open like multiples, right? Which you likely won't, but even if you open multiples, it's better than not having any, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many situations to where I open a hand and I'm just like, damn, man, I really wish I had blue. This would be really nice to search blue, or to have blue in hand so I can grab red, drop it, and then use my effects. But we got the 1 jet. We do have our 1 red and our 1 carrot. Carrot is pretty good in a lot of instances, especially against what's it called? Cash. So there is that. Let's go ahead and put these to this. Right, we got our 1 starter. We don't really play multiples. Honestly, we'd rather not open this we'd rather open the monsters rather than the starter. We don't want to lock ourselves, but you know, there are times where it's fine. And we have our double cross. Double cross is really good for bringing back things like Guardian or Leonite. So then the Leonite can bring back another monster. We don't struggle putting fire monsters in the grave because, again, Carrot, Red, as well as Sprint are all fire. So you can bring back Guardians willy-nilly during the opponent's turn for extra negates. So consider Leonite another negate. Tech cards, we are playing Parallel Exceed. I know a lot of decks cut this. However, this is very good for chain blocking Sprint for starters. And it's a free Gallant. It's a win monster for a Raptite if you really want to go that route. But typically what you send with Sprint is Plague Spreader Zombie, right? So most of the time you're going to top deck for Plague to overlay the Plague and the Sprint into a Gigantic. And you will oftentimes detach the Sprint to put a fire in the grave if you didn't have Red or Carrot. You know, so Leonite can actually get its Reborn effect online. But there are other things you could do with the Plague, right? Like you can either overlay these two parallels into a Gallant and grab Researcher, but if you get interrupted, it kind of sucks. And you're kind of, now you just have to just make Gigantic, right? Or you can top deck for Plague and sync with one of the parallels into a Leonite or Raptite, right? So even if that gets interrupted, you still have, you know, you still got your Sprint and things like that. I mean, yeah, if you make Granite, Sprint can get a balance, but if you're going to make Gigantic, that's probably not happening. So, you know, it gives you some options. So anyway, other tech cards, we have Hoppier Squadron. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all already see where this is going. But one of the other ones we're playing is Vampire Retainer and Domination. This may be honestly good enough to relegate to the side deck, but I almost always summon this with Gigantic. I don't think there's ever a time where I did not summon this off Gigantic. So for those of you who don't know, if this is a special summon, you pay 500 to add a Vampire Spell or Trap. This is a counter trap for spells, traps, and monster effects. If you negated and destroyed a monster, you gain life equal to the attack of the monster destroyed. You have to control a vampire to use this card. So it has very low stats, but it is a level 2. So yeah, that typically gets summoned with Gigantic almost all the time. Once you use the Domination and stuff, you're free to use Hoppier Squadron on it and make an Arc Light and stuff. It's pretty neat stuff. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reboards because of Sprint. Right, because of Sprint, sending the Adamancipator level 2s, you can bring them back and continue your plays that way. So you don't always send Plague, it really just depends on your hand and what it's looking like. And for the last few cards, Triple Tactics. I've opened this card so many times, but seldomly do I resolve it because one of two things is the case. Either one, the opponent didn't have any interruptions for me when I went first, or B, if they did have interruptions, it was always imperm. Always imperm, which is annoying. When I don't see this card, they have all the monster hand traps in the game, but when I do see it, imperm is in their hand all the time, and it is extremely annoying. But anyway, onto the extra deck. We got some important stuff to go over. For starters, Leonite, I believe, in my opinion, surpassed Raptite in terms of which one is the better of the two. Reason being, again, being able to reborn Guardians is a lot more important now because you will have a lot of setups where you will have 1 or 2 Guardians on board, assuming you have a rock in your hand. Or if not, you can sync off the Guardian into something else and bring it back on the opposing player's turn, so you can get around the maintenance cost. And the fact that you can grab your signs potentially grab signs to your hand means you can more confidently send an Adamancipator with Sprint and bring it back with signs and stack your deck. So sending Adamancipators to your grave is very, very good. especially if you have Excel Synchro in your deck, which at the time that I was playing this deck, I did not have Excel Synchro, but I 100% would play Excel Synchro in a deck like this, because the monster you summon off of Excel Synchro, the effects are not negated, which is extremely important to note. Raptite, you still want to play it. I mean, it's still good for cascading and a more card advantage. You're often going to synchro it off though. If you're going into this 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to synchro it off into a Crystal Wing. So yeah, we have Dragite. Dragite is very, very strong. It breaks boards. Oftentimes when you have your whole board, if your opponent's playing through your board, they may run over a few things, but you want this to stay, because if they don't kill this, you win. You will just bounce their whole field. Again, you can keep waters in your grave. You have the Water Rock level 2. And you have other things in your extra deck that you can essentially generate waters in. You have Arc Light because of Harpier Squadron. You can also make a very, very quick Arc Light for, let's say you have a Reborn, and you just, like, let's say you normal Adamancipator and you summon a Spright Blue or some BS like that. And you grab red, summon red, and you can just make Arc Light and then Reborn the Adamancipator, and you can just go. You know, that's some things you can do as well. Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is highly important in a deck like this. You can make her level 6. Oftentimes, that is typically what you will do, actually, is make her level 6. You sync with your Adamancipators. If you open, typically if you go into Cupid Pitch, you've likely opened blue. So if you don't open blue, chances are you don't want to use too many materials, because you're using 3 level 2s to make your plays, right? Now, it wouldn't be a problem if you had Excel Synchro in your extra deck. So that would be the go-to that I would summon all of the time if I had Excel Synchro at that time, but I did not. So typically what I would synchro into the Cupid Pitch with would be Dragite and add the Harpier Squadron, right? But but now that I actually have Excel Synchro, you can send any of your level 2s that you don't possess with your Sprint, and make your Cupid Pitch, summon your Excel Synchro, bring back the Adamancipator, use the Adamancipator effects as well. So yes, Excel Synchro is incredibly good in a deck like this. Coral Dragon, I made this quite a few times. This card, one is a water monster on field for the level 2 rock monster to summon itself out. It draws a card. That doesn't really come up that much though. Like, it's not really that important. It is also a water monster engraved for Dragite, so that is also worth noting. So we have Crystal Wing. This will typically get summoned off of Harpier Squadron. If your setup is really that good, you can make it early. Savage Dragon. You can make this on the opponent's turn with Harpier Squadron. That's another reason to detach Sprint with Gigantic, is to have a Link monster engrave for this, but I never went into it. There was no need to. I never had the need to go into a Savage Dragon at all. Baron, I've went into quite a few times. Sometimes you will use Cupid Pitch and sync with a level 4 instead of a level 2. Also, you can hop your Squadron for Dragite, but why would you do that? You want to keep Dragite to clear your opponent's field on the next turn, because they will at least have something, even though you negate their stuff. So, but now that I got Excel Synchro, Baron is a lot more consistent, so that is also something worth noting. IP Masquerena for the links. We only really made this if we already had, let's say we had starter, we had access to blue or something like that. Basically, our setup is that good. That's the only time I really ever went into Masquerena. Sprint, I go into it every single game. Your go-to, you typically Foolish, Plague Spreader Zombie, top deck for Plague, overlay for Gigantic, right? Detach, summon your Vampire, and then re-top deck for Plague, especially now that we have Excel Synchro. That's important. So, now that we got Excel Synchro, We can read top deck for play, use Excel Synchro's effect to make a Baron on the opponent's turn, and then we can hop your squadron for the Vampire Retainer into an Arclight. You know, this is all assuming we don't already have like Guardian on board with Leonite on field or Dragite on field and stuff like that. You know, this deck still puts up very nasty boards. Appaloosa, I seldomly went into it because the only times you go into something like this is when you make IP Masquerena, which is kind of rare. So, not really too sure how I feel about that. Two Gigantics, I really only went into one, so that will get cut. Savage Dragon will get cut for Excel Synchro as well as a Stardust. I do want to find space for a third slot for Satellite Warrior because, yeah, Satellite Warrior is, you know, you don't always want to make Baron with Excel Synchro. There are instances where making Satellite Warrior is better if your opponent is really just flooding the field with monsters. I'm looking at Sprites. So, yeah, for a deck like, against a deck like Sprites that likes to flood the field, and there's not really too many good key points that you want to negate, but you want to get rid of like 3 cards, 4 cards, Satellite Warrior is where you want to go, so I do want to make space for it. I may cut Coral Dragon for it. I haven't really decided yet though. So, side deck, we have 3 Rulers and 3 Evenlies. I sided these 6 cards the most. So, as for the second most cards I sided, Pancratops as well as Mind Control. I've drawn these a few times. Now my side deck for some reason was 14 cards. I didn't even notice I didn't have 15. But Change of Heart is definitely coming in here as well, because being able to steal monsters to use as sprint and not use your own monsters is very, very, you know, when you need to use your monsters for things like Cupid Pitch or other synchros is very, very valuable. I did not side Lightning Storms in at all. I did not side these in at all. I did not side either of these in at all. You know, so yeah. So half my side deck was used. Most of the time, I could just play through boards just with the main deck. Like, half the time I didn't really need the Rulers. If I did need the Rulers, I would just side out the Triple Tactics. Sometimes I would keep the Triple Tactics just, again, as more of a steal effect, so I can use it to make spread. But other than that, guys, this is the profile. So yeah, the tech cards, there's a lot of techs that I don't see other Spright Adamancipator decks playing. Again, you could maybe justify the Vampire Trap and the Monster relegated to the side deck for spell speed 4s. I mean, I may just do that just to, you know, but it's also good cards to side out for other side as well. You know, keep that in mind. Like, you don't, and with a deck like this, there isn't too many cards that you would be willing to side out when going second and whatnot. So that is something to bear in mind. But that is a deck profile, guys. This deck performed very, very nicely. I really, really liked it from the few times I have played it. So next vid, I will have like combos and stuff, or test hands. Really, it's you have to play test hands with a deck like this because RNG. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is J Money, and I am signing out.